oil elevated, and today the 10-year Treasury ticked back up to 470. It'll put some pressure on rates. Purchase business money and consumers will continue to buy whatever the rate is, but they seasonally don't buy as much in the second half of the year. Hey, it's KP coming to you live from Western Secondary. We're hanging out here. We got Tyler over here. He just rocked it on the guitar. He's entertainment. We got Brad, Thomas. What's up, boys? It's not staged, I promise. Remember, the California MBA is an advocacy group. At our core, we are here to make sure that the laws in California don't hurt the rest of the country. And so let me give you a little update. And then I'll walk through the meat grinder over here so you can see what you're missing. Oh, there's Carrie. There's Carrie. What's up, buddy? That was random. Let's go. Okay, so House Bill AB 801, just in case you guys didn't know, was being pushed through, and the California MBA, together with KP Consulting, our lobbying firm, which is fantastic. If you were servicing a loan in California and they experienced, disaster, wildfire, something like that, the law was going to request 36 months, 3 years of forbearance. 3 years. Do you remember how 12 months of forbearance across the country really put a capital constraint in our business? So that got pushed down to 12 with the second 12-month option. There is this a Community Reinvestment Act type bill in California that got pushed back. The next 2 weeks will be interesting in California. And I'll quote University of Texas: what starts here changes the world. California is one of those states like New York and Massachusetts, Illinois, where some kind of regulation will come through and really be a sweeping change for the business. So we are a nonprofit at California MBA, and it's really fantastic. Had our board meeting yesterday. We raised a bunch of money for Camp Pack today. We switched to a new golf course for those that didn't come because you thought the golf course sucked. If you are a golfer, much better. 800 plus attendees, our best attendance ever at this 35-year storied franchise of the Western Secondary. It's a great capital markets event. I know a lot of people will say, oh, we want people engaged and watching the content and butts and seats. And there's great content, and there's a lot of that, and most of that comes tomorrow. But this is a capital markets conference. This is where business gets done. This is where relationships get made. People are getting capital together to fund new businesses, innovate, get new ideas. Our industry is really built on capital. It's the financial services vertical. So, what's up, brother? Oh, here we go. Alex. Got Penny Mac in the house. His brother Jay runs our correspondent channel, who's the best golfer I know, and they won today. But this is a capital markets conference, and we talk a lot about on this podcast about the flow of money and how it impacts everything we do. And there's a reason why there's not one lender that rules them all, because no matter who you are, Fannie, Freddie, we're all capital constrained. Can't just run the table here. And there are ebbs and flows in our business, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Speaking of Freddie, we got Kevin Kaufman in the house. He's probably didn't get permission to be on video, but I just bombed him. Ice Mortgage Technology is here. Let's go. Oh, we got a whole crew here. Oh, look at y'all. Everyone hanging out here. I'm not going to go into the bar. That is absolutely the meat grinder. If I go in there, I'm going to get peppered. So we are in a C-shaped economy. Have you heard that yet? It's no longer a K-shaped economy. So in the article you read about that, you just kill it because they're behind on data. I've also heard G-shaped economy. The C-shaped economy places the economy in thirds. And Brian Moynihan is the CEO of Bank of America. And, the bottom third of the socioeconomic demographic, their wages are rising faster than the other upper 2/3. I don't think you've heard that before. And so that's straight from the mouth that banks in some way, one of every two Americans. People on the lower third are spending money on cruises, or obviously gas is eating up their wages, but their wages are rising. We had a jobs report last week, which I might touch on that in just a second here. But the C-shaped economy, and then I heard Yardini, who is an economist who's been pretty right about the market. He calls it a G-shaped economy, like this generational differences. So we are no longer in a K-shaped economy, which flies in the face of conventional wisdom in every article that you've read. The economy's actually not doing as bad as we thought. The jobs report was weak. That Bank of America report said that if jobs in the labor market stay strong, he sees three rate hikes, and then the jobs report came out, and it was somewhat weaker than expected, losing 45,000 jobs plus a negative revision for 100,000 jobs the 2 prior months total. And then the unemployment rate went down from 4.2 to 4.1 because people left the labor force. I've been saying on here, and you haven't heard it anywhere, that, we talked about a rolling recession, that the consumer can be isolated enough to have its own consumer recession, which we're not in right now because they're not losing jobs en masse. But that could happen if they continue to weaken. And if you look at GDP, which was traditionally 70% consumer spending is driving that, about 1.5% of that is AI data center build out. So unless you're a hyperscaler tech company or you own some of these construction companies building out data centers, you're not really seeing that boost. So we're going to keep an eye on the consumer and see if they stay steady. And we'll see if they end up making any headway. Wage growth, what's up, gang? Wage growth went down to 3.2%, I believe, which is still higher than inflation. We'll get another read this week on CPI and PPI, and we'll see if wages, which, as of the last jobs report, is outpacing inflation. We'll see if that holds, and then we'll see what that means for the Fed. Big tier 1 data coming this week. Okay, so other than all of that, I will say that, the Strait of Hormuz and the Iranian conflict are still a big deal. We're almost 7 minutes in. I'm going to wrap it up here in just a second. The second half of the year is typically seasonally slower. There's not as much business generally that gets done. And with oil elevated and today the 10-year Treasury ticked back up to 470, it put some pressure on rates. Purchase business money and consumers will continue to buy whatever the rate is, but they seasonally don't buy as much in the second half of the year. So we'll keep an eye on that. It is a big thing to track. The consumer's a big thing to track. Stock market ripping all-time highs. I'm not a financial advisor, not responsible for your losses, only your profits. But there's some great businesses out there. Earnings are crushing it. Companies are making money. And so we'll keep an eye on the flow of money, how it goes throughout the world. Yen reinforcement from the U.S., backing off on our war against Iran, trying to put economic pressure on them. Hopefully the Strait opens a little more. And we'll just get back to you on Thursday night. Have a good one. Cheers. Hey, it's KP coming to you live from Newport Beach. My family's in town. My sister, my niece, my cousin. We got a party. Hey, everybody say hi. Hey, oh, happy birthday, LinkedIn. We got entertainment. This is my guy. All right. So the party is about to kick off. Oh, look at that. We got tacos. Thank you. I'm trying to be disciplined with my content and my social media. 2 videos a week. Hopefully, thank you for all the birthday wishes. I am 50, which is bittersweet. But I have to stay disciplined and get my video in. So I'll be really quick, I promise, because there's a bunch of people about to show up. If you just saw me yesterday at the Western Secondary, I apologize. I did not get my cut and color done before. I looked haggard, unshaven, gray, poofy. Okay, enough about that. Really quick. The Western Secondary is a 35-year plus storied franchise. It's an incredible conference. Many of us remember when it used to be in San Francisco, down over there by Union Square. The one this past week, shout out to Brad Livingston, AJ George, and of course, the entire team. Chris, Sarah, Sydney, I can go on and on and on. There are so many people there. And of course, Paul Gelati, and all the work that Susan Milazzo did for so many years. This was the most attended Western Secondary ever. I think the final number was like 843, something like that, up from around 600 plus last year. just a fantastic showing. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Everyone came out. It is an advocacy group. It is a nonprofit. We are there to, work with Sacramento on AI bills that we were able to kill. AB 801, when they wanted to make a 36-month forbearance for anyone that's facing a wildfire or a hardship. And we got that knocked down to 12 plus a 12 option. Still not passed yet, but there's so many different things that we worked on. And of course, it's a capital markets show. The business that gets done, the meetings, the people that come in from New York and all over, essentially, the world. There's so many people that travel internationally to come set up our businesses. Mortgage banking is not easy. It's going to be a little challenging here the last 6 months of the year. Purchase season slows down. Rates are, at the beginning of the week, or last week, they're at a 1-year high. Now they're at a 3-week low because inflation is coming down less than feared, or rising more slowly, right? 2.5% inflation on core CPI. Down from 2.6. That's not that far from 2. And then the PPI, which of course is hot, but it came down significantly month over month. And so, I think Fed Chair Warsh had some cover because it was only his second meeting, but now no one's talking about a September rate hike. They're saying it's off the table. So now we'll watch labor and see if it's soft. We'll see if it stays weak. Is the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is their labor data finally accurate? Only 44,000 jobs created, 100,000 revised downward the prior 2 months. Is it finally not overinflated? Is it more realistic? I don't know. Time will tell. And I think the Fed does think they have time on their hands. And so I think we can stop saying things like, we want a rate hike. There's a K-shaped economy. Bank of America CEO, I put on my last video, said we're in a C-shaped economy. The lower of the three, thirds of the demographics are actually having the highest rate wage inflation growth. And that's a good thing, but not enough to pump up inflation. So we all know government spending is the problem for inflation. That's the part that's sticky. We'll watch what the Fed does in the balance sheet, but maybe the BLS is finally accurate. Just a couple more points and I'll wrap it up real quick video. You guys know I do a mindset coaching session every 2 weeks with Steve Scanlon from Rewire. We talked about return on energy. It's something that I've talked about. I want my hair to match my energy. I want my energy to go towards something where I can see results. And sometimes that's hard in a market when you're pushing, and sometimes, maybe rates don't give it to you, or the borrowers don't give it to you, or your market doesn't give it to you. Return on energy is a big thing. I had a great dinner. Shout out to ArchMI, shout out to Figure. I sat next to Todd, the chief financing officer at Figure. What an incredible guy to sit next to him. And he was talking about return on effort. And I said, hey, I got this thing called return on energy. And we had such a great dinner just talking about the mechanics of putting a mortgage on blockchain and tokenizing mortgage. They're the first to do it. Super slick loan. And they're, keeping the hygiene clean on their loans. And I was sitting next to the CEO of Kiavi, who they just purchased for $700 million. And Arvin, and just incredible conversation came about right there in the Western Secondary. And there were so many good ones. Shout out to everyone who made the trip from all over the country and even outside the country to break bread, talk strategy, and just talk about all the stuff we're going through. I'll kind of leave with this. Earnings season's doing fantastic. There's finally return on capital expenditures. So you hear a lot about the Mag 7 stocks and all these hyperscalers spending billions and billions, and is it circular financing? But for now, there is return. The S&P is almost done with earnings season, except for NVIDIA, which will kick it off at the end of the month, and Broadcom as well. 50% earnings growth for the S&P 500. I know there's a lot of companies that kind of pull up that average, but 50% earnings growth with all the capital expenditure going up. The stock market here on my birthday is at all-time highs. And so that doesn't mean it's going to be like that. Not a financial advisor, not responsible for your losses, only your profits. But I will tell you, so far things are looking good. Nothing goes up and to the right. And there's always going to be challenges and all the stuff that we deal with in our business and every business. But, we're in a good spot to end the summer, get your kids back in school, take care of your families. I've talked to so many people out there dealing with, ailing parents and, just dealing with the challenges of life. And we're just going to take it all one day at a time. Thank you so much for all the awesome birthday wishes. I got so many texts and messages today, and I'm going to shut this thing down, and I'm going to go in there and have an espresso martini because it's not quite 6 o'clock. Have a good one. Cheers.
You've been listening to KP Talks Dollars and Cents, a top-rated show for those who want to learn about the economy and mortgage environment. Tune in each week for more episodes, and please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Kevin Perenio does not render or offer to render personalized investment or tax advice through KP Talks Dollars and Cents. The information provided is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, tax, investment, or legal advice. For more info, follow KP Talks Dollars and Cents on all of our social channels.